Hello everyone, welcome to EPG Pathshala. In this session, we are going to discuss about groundwater hydrology module 3. In this groundwater hydrology module 3, we are going to talk about the concept of groundwater flow. So, what are the different governing equations which are used for quantification of groundwater flow and solute transportation. We are going to discuss about the sensitive parameters like hydraulic conductivity, its computation of the transmissivity and its equivalent values for different types of the formations. We will also discuss about the aquifer characterizations. So, different methods which are used in field for finding out these aquifer parameters using some experiments or observations. Thank you. So, for understanding the groundwater hydraulics, let us come to the main equation which is known as Darcy's equation. Henry Darcy, this is a French guy who proposed this law in 1856. He made the first systematic study for the movement of the groundwater in subsurface. Darcy's law provides an accurate description of the flow of groundwater in almost all the hydrogeological environments. Darcy law allows an estimation of the velocity or the flow rate moving within the aquifer, the average time of travel from the head to the aquifer to the point which is located at some downstream site. Henry Darcy established empirically that the flux of the water through a permeable formation is proportional to the distance between the top and the bottom of the soil column. Originally, Henry has done soil column experiment in a vertical direction, and he said that the constant of the proportionality is called as hydraulic conductivity, which is denoted by capital Q. So, capital V is the Darcy's velocity, capital Q is the flow discharge and capital A is the total area of the porous media. This is the picture which shows the Darcy's experiments. So, you can see here this is a soil column, horizontal soil column filled by a porous media having cross section, inner cross section capital A. The total length of the column is capital L, the head at inlet, that is H in, and the water head at the outlet is the H out. Because the head at inlet is high as compared to the head at outlet, the groundwater is going to flow through this column from left to right, producing a discharge of capital Q. Now, capital Q, which is a flow rate, that is nothing but the volume per unit time. Capital A is the cross section area of this porous material. Delta H is the change in the head difference, that is the H out minus H in, and capital L is the length of the porous media, and capital K is the hydraulic conductivity, and V is the Darcy's velocity. So, Henry Darcy's law says that when the larger the cross section area, the more water flow through this porous tube. So, Q is directly proportional to the cross section area of the porous media. As the length increases, the Q is going to decrease, because when we increase the length of the porous media, resistance provided by the porous media is going to be more. So, we can get the Q is going to be less as compared to the lesser length of a porous media. So, Q is inversely proportional to the length of the porous media. The last one is the head difference, that is H in minus H out, difference in height of the water, that is head from when it begins flowing. So, the column to when it comes out of the column, that is H out. So, flow rate is determined by the head loss. As the head difference increases, the flow rate Q is going to increases. So, flow rate is directly proportional to the head difference. Now, the proportionality coefficient K represent a measure of ability to the flow through the porous media, and for the gravels its value is going to be very high. For the sand also it is very significant, but for the silts and the clay the value of hydraulic conductivity is very less. It means water cannot easily flow through clay and the silt as compared to the sand and gravels. Now, hydraulic gradient in groundwater flow, hydraulic's head gradient is the main driving force. Hydraulic gradient is the change in the head divided by the total length. In this picture, you can see there are two tube wells, tube well number A and tube well B. The distance between these two tube wells is the delta L or DL. The height is HA here and height is HB here. So, HA minus HB divided by the distance between two wells is known as hydraulic gradient, which is denoted by small I. The second picture shows some quantification of this hydraulic gradient, well 1 and well 2, where 99 feet is the height of the water table at well 2 and 96 is at well number 1. So, groundwater is going to flow from the higher head to the lower head, and the distance between these two wells is 100 feet. So, we can get the hydraulic gradient is going to be 99 minus 96 divided by the total distance, that is 100 feet. We are going to get I is going to be equal to 0.3, and this is a unitless quantity. Now, question comes that where we can apply this Darcy's equation. So, Darcy's law is applicable for saturated as well as for the unsaturated flow. Steady state as well as the transient flow type of the conditions can be obtained using this Darcy's equation. Flow in aquifers, acute hearts, flow in homogeneous and heterogeneous systems can also be obtained using the Darcy's. Flow in isotropic and anisotropic media, flow in rocks and the granular media can also be represented by Darcy's law. So, Darcy's law apply to flow in any direction, whether it is horizontal, vertical, radial. Now, Darcy's velocity, which is denoted here by capital V, sometimes it is denoted by small q also. So, V, Darcy's velocity is the specific discharge. Specific discharge means total discharge divided by area, and minus sign indicates that the flow is going to happen in the decreasing head side. Specific discharge has a units of the velocity. The specific discharge is a macroscopic concept and is easily measured. Darcy's velocity is different from the microscopic velocity associated with the actual path, and the microscopic velocities are real, but are probably impossible or infeasible to measure. Darcy's velocity is a fictitious velocity, since it assumes that the flow is going to happen across the entire cross section area of the soil sample. The flow actually takes place only through interconnected pores. So, you can see here in this picture, this is the section of the porous media, where this entire cross section is made of soil solids and soil voids. So, when the water is going to flow across this section, it is not going to flow through the entire area A, but the water is going to flow through the openings between the soil solids. And using this continuity equation, we can get the relationship between the Darcy's velocity and the actual velocity. The Darcy, when we divide the Darcy's velocity, that is denoted by V d, with the porosity, a seepage velocity V s can be obtained. So, always the actual velocity or the seepage velocity are going to be much faster than whatever the Darcy's velocity we get from the Darcy's equation. Now, the question comes that what are the conditions where we cannot apply this Darcy's approach. The first is the Darcy's law is applicable for the laminar flow. So, when the Reynolds number, which represent the laminar or the Reynolds, this turbulent type of the flow. So, when this Reynolds number becomes very high, it means the flow is going to be turbulent. We cannot get the accurate results by applying the Darcy's approach. Second, where the water flow through the extremely fine grained material like colloidal clay, which has the property of shrinking and swelling, we cannot get the appropriate or accurate results from the Darcy's velocity. However, most of the groundwater condition, the velocity is sufficiently low, and we can apply the Darcy's law, without any problem. Now, this picture shows the laminar and the turbulent flow, where the Reynolds number is very small in the laminar flow. So, water particles goes in a streamline parallel to each other, but in turbulent flow, the water particles move in a random way, and the mixing takes place significantly as compared to the laminar flow. Now, Darcy's equation can be applied in different direction. This is the Darcy's tensor of the hydraulic conductivity capital K in bold. So, this is going to be Kxx, Kxy and Kxg. The second row of this tensor is going to be Kyx, Kyy and Kyg. The last row is going to be Kgx, Kgy and Kgg. So, Kx, Ky, Kg. So, we can, if you want to apply the Darcy's equation in all these three directions, x, y and g direction, we can get Qx equal to Kx dH upon dx. Similarly, for the y direction, it is going to be Qy equals to Ky dH upon dy, and for g direction, Qg, the Darcy's velocity, is going to be equal to Kg, that is the hydraulic conductivity in g direction, multiplied by the hydraulic gradient in g direction, that is going to be dH upon dg. This is for the layer type of the phenomena. So, if the coordinate axes are going to be oriented with the main direction of these artesians, these directions, then we can reduce this matrix to the three quantities Kx, Ky and Kg. Now, this is the general picture which expands the value of this hydraulic conductivity tensor K in three different directions, having the different orientation of the Artesian's coefficient along with the soil profile. So, we can expand this equation, Darcy's equation, for all these three directions Qx, Qy and Kg in this manner, and if the main directions are in parallel with the all these x, y and g directions, then we can reduce to the Darcy's velocity to the three main equations. Now, in groundwater hydraulics, hydraulic conductivity is the most sensitive as well as the most important parameters, and that is why one must quantify the hydraulic conductivity very accurately. So, K value, that is denoting the hydraulic conductivity, is comprised the property of the porous media as well as the property of the fluid. So, capital Q is going to be equal to rho g upon mu into small k. Small k is the intrinsic permeability. Intrinsic permeability is completely the property of the porous media, and the remaining term, that is rho g upon mu, are the property of the fluid. So, fluid means here in groundwater we consider the fluid as a water. So, rho g and mu viscosity and rho is going to be so. So, hydraulic conductivity contains the property of the porous media as well as the fluid passing through this porous media, and this is the relationship between this intrinsic permeability and the hydraulic conductivity capital K. We can use the hydraulic conductivity for getting the formation coefficient in form of the transmissivity of aquifer. Hydraulic conductivity is a property of the porous media, which is showing how easily water can flow at a point location. Okay. When we talk about the entire capacity of the aquifer, then if you multiply the hydraulic conductivity with the total thickness of the aquifer, we obtain the transmissivity. Transmissivity or transmissibility are the same thing. So, K into B is nothing but the capital T, that is known as transmissibility. Now, sometimes the aquifer media is not going to be homogeneous, it can be stratigraphic or it can going to be different types of the layers. So, in that case it is important to get the equivalent hydraulic conductivity. So, this picture shows that there are three different layers of the porous media having thickness G1, G2, G3, having different hydraulic conductivity in x and g directions. So, for getting the equivalent hydraulic conductivity, that is in x direction as well as in the vertical direction in g direction, we can use these equations for getting this equivalent hydraulic conductivity across the flow as well as parallel to this clay layers, soil layers. Similarly, transmissivity can be obtained by taking the average, it is the summation of the different T1, T2, T3 for this such type of the formations. Now, there are different methods for obtaining the hydraulic conductivity, empirical methods based on the correlation of the grain sizes with the and the second one is the laboratory method, using directly this aquifer material, putting into the equipment that is known as permeometers, and the last one is the field methods. Aquifer tests are generally performed for getting the aquifer parameters, especially hydraulic conductivity, storage coefficient and transmissivity. We are going to discuss them. So, this is the permeometer which is generally used for measuring this hydraulic conductivity. Here you can see this is the sample of the aquifer material which is put here in this apparatus. There are two types of the permeometer, the falling head as well as the constant head type of the parameters are used. When the grain size of the aquifer material is quite coarse, the constant head type of the permeometer is used, but when the particle size is very small, in that case the falling head permeometer are useful for getting the hydraulic conductivity value of the aquifer material. And these are the equations which can be used for getting the hydraulic conductivity from this falling head as well as from the constant head type of the permeometers. Now, for deriving the groundwater flow equation, we are going to use Darcy's equation, that is Q equal to KAI, and the second one is going to be continuity equation. Continuity equation means nothing but the mass balance equation. So, by integrating the Darcy's law with the mass balance equation, we are going to obtain the groundwater flow equation, and the specific form of the groundwater flow equation is known as Laplace equation. So, this is the picture which shows a parallelogram having a dimension of x, y and g. You can see here there are total 6 faces of these cuboids. Let us consider from 3 faces the water is entering, and from the remaining 3 faces water is leaving to the system. So, by considering the x, y and g direction, we consider the flux in the x direction. So, that is V x, this is the Darcy's flux V x, and the change in this direction flux is going to be V x plus d upon dx into V x. And by considering the mass in minus mass out, that is going to be equal to change in storage, because change in storage is going to be completely saturated zone. So, we can say the change in storage is going to be 0 here, theta is going to be theta s. So, by putting all these three direction values, we can get this equation d upon dx into V x, d upon dy into V y, d upon dg to V g equal to 0. Now, this V x, V y and V g are nothing but the Darcy's velocity in x, y and g direction. By replacing these Darcy's velocity from the Darcy's law, we can obtain this equation here, and this is the general groundwater flow equation while considering no change in the storage. Now, if you consider a kx equal to ky, it means completely homogeneous and isotropic type of the aquifer material, then this kx, ky, kg equal to be can be taken out from this equation, and this will become 0, and resulting in we are going to get d2h upon dx square plus d2h upon dy square plus d2h upon dg square equals to 0, and this is known as famous Laplace equation for quantifying homogeneous and steady state groundwater flow in subsurface. Now, well hydraulics is very important. It's not the wells are not only the source of the exploring the groundwater, but they are also used for characterizing the aquifer aquifer parameters. So, generally pumping tests are done in the field for getting the aquifer parameters. So, the principle of pumping test involves the applying the stress on any aquifer by extracting the groundwater from the pumping well and measuring the aquifer response to that stress by monitoring drawdown as a function of time. So, this is the typical diagram which shows a hydraulic well, and these are the different terminologies which are associated with the well hydraulics. The first one is the static water level, that is SWL. This is the water level before pumping is started. Then pumping water level PWL is the water level during the pumping, and the drawdown is nothing but the difference between the pumping water level and static water level, denoted by small s. Well yield is the volume of water pumped per unit time, and then specific capacity, if you divide the pump yield with the resulting drawdown, we get a specific capacity. Now, for steady state unconfined radial flow, we can consider a well fully penetrating in an unconfined aquifer by considering that it is a completely isotropic homogeneous type of the aquifer media. Now, by applying the Darcy's equation, because Q is constant here, so we can say Q equal to Ki. So, capital Q is going to be equal to K, that is hydraulic conductivity of the aquifer in which this hydraulic well is drilled, into area. This area is the water which is contributing to the annular region of this well. So, this is going to be hollow cylinder of r distance, let us say. So, 2 pi r is the perimeter, and the h is the total thickness of this the cylinder. So, we will get the total area through which water is entering to this well screen into hydraulic gradient. Hydraulic gradient is going to be dH upon dr. So, Q equal to 2 pi r into S, that is area, into K hydraulic conductivity into hydraulic gradient, that is dH upon dr. By rearranging, we can get dH into dH is going to be minus Q upon 2 pi K into dr upon dr, and by integrating this equation with respect to H, we can get H square by 2 equal to Q upon 2 pi K ln plus integration coefficient C. And by applying the boundary conditions H equal to H naught, it means at radii of influence where there is no drawdown, we can put small r is going to be capital R, and we can obtain the value of capital C and can find out the popular Thames equation representing the water table profile at any pumping time. So, H naught square minus H square equal to Q upon K pi K into ln R upon capital R. Similarly, we can obtain the radial flow in a confined aquifer having a thickness of small b. We can apply the Darcy's equation The only difference here is the total area. In earlier case it was 2 pi r into h, that is the entire area which was contributing, but here because the thickness of the confined aquifer is small b, so the total area which is contributing to this water flow in this well screen is going to be 2 pi r into b k dh upon dr. And again by rearranging and by applying the boundary conditions, we can get this equation representing the drawdown small s equal to h naught minus h. This is the difference between the pumping water level and the static water level, is going to be equal to q upon 2 pi kb ln r upon capital R. Now, for conducting the pump test, especially in the field, mostly we generally do this field test for finding out the aquifer parameter and characterization of the different any other formation coefficients. Finding this equilibrium condition or steady state condition is very time taking, and also one has to extract a lot of groundwater at the surface. So, in that case we can go for the unsteady radial type of the flow approach for characterizing the aquifer parameters. This is the partial differential equation which can be solved for getting the aquifer parameter value s and t from confined and unconfined aquifers. So, here small u represent this is the auxiliary function having r square s upon 4 t into t. R square is the radial distance, capital S the storage coefficient of the aquifer, and capital T is the transmissivity, and small t is the time of pumping. And the solution is given here, that S, that is nothing but h naught minus h, is going to be equal to q upon 4 pi t integration e to the power minus u upon u into dot u. So, this is the well function. This entire integration quantity can be termed as a well function w. Now, using this auxiliary function and the well function, we can plan a pumping test in the field. So, this picture shows the pumping test layout. This is the ground surface, and we are having a pumping well denoted by this solid arrow, and then nearby to this pumping well there are 3 observation wells. Now, when the pumping starts from this main pumping well, the water table started going down. The drawdown is going to be maximum at the center of this pumping well, and it started a cone of depression to the surrounding location, and whatever this drawdown which is going to be observed can be obtained directly from these observation wells. Now, this is another picture which shows the drawdown and the pumping well network. One should be very careful when doing this pumping test in the field. So, all these pumping well and the nearby observation well must have the same type of the aquifer. One cannot consider the unconfined aquifer with the confined type of the aquifer for doing this pumping test. Here all these observation well as well as pumping test should be there either in the confined aquifer or in the unconfined aquifer for characterizing that respective aquifer media. Now, this is a example of the test data, pumping test data. So, in the field we can observe the time of the pumping, and also we can observe the drawdown nearby to the pumping well. So, drawdown is there on the y axis and the time is denoted on the x axis, and the both are the axis on the semi log paper on the log scale. So, that is why it is known as the test data, pumping test data on a logarithmic paper. Now, this well function w and the auxiliary function u, that is the data curve. So, the type curve. So, data curve is the curve which we obtained from the field, and the type curve that is already available, that is the relationship between the well function and the auxiliary function. Here it is the well function is there on the y axis, and the auxiliary function, that is the inversion of the auxiliary function 1 upon u, is on x axis. Now, by interpolating all these type curve and the data curve, we can obtain overlay these two curves. So, this solid line red in color shows the type curve, and the blue dots are the data curve which has been obtained from the field. So, by overlay of these two curves, we found out a common point where these two curves are matching well, and corresponding to this matching point we obtain the parameters like well function, auxiliary function from the data curve and the type curve. All these value corresponding to this point are substituted in this equation. The first one is T is going to be equal to Q upon 4 pi S into W. We already obtained the value of W. S is obtained from the matching curve and Q is a constant value which is known to us, and 4 pi is a constant parameter. So, we can obtain the transmissivity from this equation. Once we obtain the transmissivity, we can substitute this transmissivity to this another equation and we can get the value of storage coefficient capital S. So, this is the method that how one can get the value crucial parameter S and T with in situ using some pumping test data, and which are very useful especially for characterizing the subsurface system. So, in this module number 3 groundwater hydrology, we discuss about this the main governing equations like Darcy's equation, which is the main equation for developing the groundwater flow equation. So, we explained the how the Darcy's equation can be derived, where we can apply the Darcy's equation with its pros and cons, and this Darcy's equation can be integrated with the mass balance or the continuity equation for obtaining a general groundwater flow equation for any type of the confined or unconfined aquifers flow. The most useful equation like Laplace equation, that is for homogeneous and isotropic type of the media, can also be obtained from the Darcy's and continuity equation. Now, later on we have also discussed about the different methods for the measuring of the hydraulic conductivity in laboratory as well as in the field. We have also discussed about the pumping test, which are very crucial for obtaining the aquifer parameters in the field. So, by conducting the pumping test, we can obtain the hydraulic conductivity, transmissivity and the storage coefficient of any aquifer material, any aquifer formation in real field conditions. And these parameters can further be utilized for groundwater flow quantification as well as for the solute transport estimation. Thank you.